Thank you for joining us on this Saturday, the East West Football Network's draft show. We're coming live to you guys. Ned, Walter, how you two doing on this beautiful Saturday?
Good. Senior Bowl Saturday, man. It's been fun.
Man, I'll tell you this. Just we just finished. I know that I was able to watch it. I know that Ned and Walt, you said that you kind of weren't able to catch it be in tune to the entire thing. But I will say this: being a part of the actual Senior Bowl this entire, I mean, the whole week, it's been amazing. I will share with everybody. I mean, just to have the virtual, the virtual access to be able to be in the meetings and I just got off the meeting with Brian Flores, the Miami Dolphins head coach, and right before that it was Matt Rule. Man, it's just a different world, and to be able to see the game clips, right? The game, like the actual film of the actual practices. Wow, what an event! I'll tell you this: if you're pursuing any kind of career in the NFL, you need to find a way to get on board on whether it be here on East West Football Network or some other sports affiliate. Do it. It's a real eye opener. And of course, yesterday the East West Football Podcast, we did a podcast with Ryan Clark. He was a former safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers and current ESPN analyst, sports analyst. Man, he was just an awesome guest to have on. So, but we thank you for joining us, and let's get right into it. So we're going to be covering the top running backs. This is our second positional group that we'll be breaking down, and let's go ahead and if you can, Ned, you lead off this one since Walter led off the first one. Give me your top five running backs right now.
Yeah, certainly. So number one for me, he's had a stellar season, absolute breakout season. Najee Harris out of Alabama. The guy can do it all, you know. I think he rushed for 26 touchdowns, caught another handful. Guy's a three down back, and be a future star in the NFL. We're talking about this week. Senior Bowl, he's 23 by the time he's going to get drafted. There's been a number of guys who've been successful at that age, but he's ready to roll, man. I think he's going to be able to come in and be a number one back for a team straight out in day one. For me, and we're talking a little bit about this, but I think Etienne, even though he had a bit of an average year at Clemson, I think that there were some other factors that went into that. But for me, he's still, again, a three down back. Guy who can take the rock, he can catch out of the backfield, has pretty good pass blocking despite everything. I think that for me, he's still number two on the board. He's probably likely to drop down maybe out of the first round. I don't know that he has that much capital to be able to go early, but still a very good running back and a guy who can take over that leading feature back role in the NFL. For me, then North Carolina's Javonte Williams at number three. Again, another guy who can be a three down back. He's a guy who can catch balls out of the backfield and really just take them for chunk yardage. Has phenomenal speed, phenomenal strength out of there, and really good, break tackle ability. I think he had 500 plus yards after contact this season. The kind of guy who can come in and really make some short lateral plays to break contact on tacklers. So bright future for this guy. Next outside of that is Memphis's Kenneth Gainwell. For me, this is a guy who, Walt and I were talking about, a little bit of a smaller back, not as much of an NFL build, but he has absolute big playability. Catching out of the backfield or taking an outside handoff. He can take a run, to the house at the drop of a hat. Biggest concerns with Kenny is that his size obviously is not quite there. Whether he's got much to add to that frame, I don't know. But the kind of build that he runs is very similar for me from Philadelphia's Miles Sanders. He's that guy who can really come out and make big plays happen. At number five, Trey Sermon out of Ohio State. This is a guy who came on big. I talked a bit earlier in the season about Master Teague coming out of Ohio State. That obviously a phenomenal offensive line. Justin Fields there to really take the pressure off. But Sermon really stepped up, particularly down the stretch in the playoffs as well. Had a phenomenal run. Despite his injuries, I think that's probably going to drop him a little bit in the draft stock. But for me, he really showed that he has the build, the strength, and the speed to really make it at the NFL level.
Well said, Ned. What about you, Walter?
I agree with a lot of that. I think this is a very, very talented running back
Oh yeah,
class.
to say the least.
There's a lot of guys that are similar. I think the big physical attacking backs are starting to come back. The scat backs are starting to die off a little bit, and a lot of these running backs in this class have very, very similar skill sets. So yeah, number one, I agree completely with that. I have Najee Harris. Very, very imposing physical runner. He's 6'2", 230 pounds, outstanding leg drive. Really improved his footwork within traffic over his time in Alabama. Very good blocker. Well, not very good blocker. I think he's a good blocker. He's gotten a lot better also with his time over Alabama. I think he has very good vision. I actually believe he and Javonte Williams of North Carolina probably have some of the best vision of the backs in this draft also. Number two, I have Javonte Williams from North Carolina. I know Ed had him at 3. I had him a slight bit higher. 5'10", 220 pounds, very good goal line and short yardage back. He's low to the ground. He's strong. He's built, and he's a power mover. Number 3, I have a guy that I think a lot of people have forgotten about, and Chuba Hubbard. I think he's explosive. He's a very explosive player. There's a lot of comps to him. My comp to him actually is Clinton Portis. I think he's a zone vertical killer, and if you get him in the right system, he could possibly be a 12, 13 touchdown type of guy.
Wow.
He's the complete package. He has the size, he has the sprinter speed, and he had a monster 2019. He was slowed by some injuries in 2020 due to some issues with the ankles, but I do believe once he's another one of those guys that once he gets to his pro day and some private workouts, he's going to wow people, because I feel personally he's probably the most athletic running back in this entire class. Number 4, I got Travis Etienne. He's a contact, balance, speed, acceleration guy. Not very physically natural, well, not very naturally physical and strong and powerful, but his speed and I think his acceleration combined creates his power. He's not really a guy that you can arm tackle. You have to pretty much get all the way through Etienne to get him to the ground. So, and also number 5, I have a guy that was kind of also forgotten about, and that will be Kylan Hill from Mississippi State. I think he's got that prototypical size at 5'11", 215. He's a very swift decision maker, not much wasted movement. Only issues with him I really see is the fact that he gets ran down a lot. He really doesn't have any long speed. He's an upright runner, and if you look at his vision, he does an awful job, honestly, of allowing his backs to set up his linebacker, not his linebackers. Sorry, he does an awful job of his linemen, allowing his linemen to actually set up. So if he can get a lot more patient with his running style and drop his shoulders a little better, I think Kylan Hill could probably be a steal in this draft.
Makes perfect sense. Let me ask you, Walter. So when you look around the actual NFL, who needs running backs? And if you can't give us maybe a couple running backs that would be a perfect fit for whatever team that needs that running back.
I had a couple of them, but
Okay.
actually, I think the Steelers are a team that could honestly be in the midst for a running back and the fight for a running back towards the end of the first round. I think the Steelers at 24, and also I think the Bills at number 30 could be in the running for a running back. I think Najee Harris is a possible landing spot for both of those teams. I also believe don't rule out the New Orleans Saints. And I understand that the Saints did just sign Alvin Kamara to a 5-year, $75 million extension. They do have an out for that contract actually in 2024. But let's be honest, the Saints have no idea. We have no idea who's going to be the starting quarterback for them next season. So if you have a situation like that and you have an opportunity to really maximize that defense, I think they can get probably another 2 years of high-level play out of that defense. What better way to go ahead and continue to win games than to play defense and have a dynamic running game?
Makes perfect sense. I mean, I think that Buffalo, I think they have invested in back-to-back running backs. I think that when you your list alone and Ned's list alone, I mean, these running backs are a little bit way above the play
What they have.
style. Yeah, the playing style and the play level. It'd be interesting to see if maybe the Detroit Lions kind of try to go after Najee Harrison, maybe in the second round if he falls in the second round. I'm just saying, I'm getting these Titan vibes off of the Detroit Lions, So I don't know.
How about Dallas takes him? How about Dallas takes him in the top 10, Jerry?
I would say, I they've done it before. They've done it before. But hey Ned, let me off the five that you have. I mean, do you have any player comps maybe that people can kind of see? Maybe next time they look up one of these players.
Yeah, I mean, Najee Harris to me has given me some Matt Forte throwback vibes. You know, that kind of guy who can provide that incredible athleticism out of the backfield, great speed, great strength, that kind of like all around back that you really want. And for me, Travis Etienne reminds me a lot of Reggie Bush, not college, OP guy who was running all over everybody, but kind of early NFL Reggie Bush. You know, that guy who is a phenomenal athletic talent, great receiver out of the backfield. Not as dynamic in the running game itself, but is able to provide a lot of pop out of the backfield there as well.
Okay, let me ask you, and just to end it off, right? I think that we've had a great discussion on today's episode, but when we look at it, I mean, what is there a dark horse running back or maybe a sleeper running back that nobody's talking about? Maybe aside from Jarrett Patterson, who put up what was it? Ra-
Eight
uh,
wins in one game.
yeah, that one game he put up what was it, like seven? No,
Yeah, he got 8 touchdowns.
8 touchdowns. Yeah, and like 500 yards rushing, right? So,
Yeah,
uh, I mean, do you guys have any sleepers?
yeah.
I think. Okay,
Sorry,
go
what?
ahead. No, I think he's not really a sleeper on my list. He was number 2 on the list. He was number 3 on Ned's list. But I think Javonte Williams is a guy who's really shooting up draft boards. I can see
Yeah.
right now. He got himself in shape. The biggest thing I noticed from last season to this season was his body. He's a lot more cut, a lot more dense. He runs a lot like Marshawn Lynch, and I think he's not great at anything, but he's damn good at everything. And I think you can leave him in for first, second, and third down.
Yeah, I think that when I went back and I actually looked at some of his game tape. I mean, I like what
You
I
get
see.
excited watching him play football. That's the thing.
I was gonna say I like what I see. I mean, it's just so it's flashy, it's modern, it's I mean what you'd want in a running
He,
back. So
I think the key thing is he takes the yardage that's there. What I really hate is running, not necessarily hate, but it bothers me running backs who pass up the single, the double, and the triple for the constant search for the home run. He takes the yardage that's there initially, and then he creates more yardage off of that initial yardage.
well said. I like that. What about you, Ned?
Yeah, and I'm going to go deep. I'm going to go very deep. In fact, he's likely potentially a 7th round pick or even an undrafted free agent. But Brendan Knox out of Marshall. This is a guy, I mean, funny you say, well, a guy who takes exactly what you give him. If his offensive line opens a hole, he's going to grab 7 or 8 yards if it's there. If 20 yards are there, he's grabbing 20 yards. One of the things that really impressed me, particularly the back half of the season for Marshall, is his ability to pass block. He is able to come across, make cut blocks. He is able to cut guys down, give his quarterback as much time as is possible at that point. He's blocking as well as any running back out there that I've seen this season. As far as his ability out of the backfield, he's not a phenomenal route runner, but he has sure hands. He keeps his eyes on the quarterback. He doesn't think about the yards until the ball is in his hand, ready to go. To me, that is phenomenal. His athleticism isn't wow, but he's the kind of guy that I can see somewhere like, the 49ers picking up and finding a role for him to really succeed in. So to me, that's a guy. But as you mentioned, you've got Jarrett Patterson. You've got, potentially Mohamed Ibrahim out of Minnesota if he decides to declare. Phenomenal back who didn't get a full shot this year. You've even got guys like Khalil Herbert out of Virginia Tech who are also, guys who are going to go around the 4th and 5th round. So a lot of guys to get excited about, man. A lot of guys that I think could really make it big in the NFL.
So to basically just say it in a nutshell, if your team needs a running back, this is definitely the draft to go ahead and get yours. Well, that is gonna do it for us. We want to thank you so much. Of course, stay tuned. We got more shows lined up. Of course, we're gonna be breaking down these positional. Um, I'm sorry, we're gonna be breaking down the top five in each positional group, and we're gonna bring on some more guests from the East West football family. So thank you. Have a safe Saturday, and we will see you next Tuesday.